Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda, the second quest. And we begin where we left off in the last episode. We have our little select screen here. And we need to get our sword first. Now I apologize for the break in videos. I needed some time to recollect on what I wanted to do next and try to sort out some new projects. So hopefully you'll like some of them. We'll see. At any rate, we've got our wooden sword now. And so what we need to do is move off to the right and start collecting rupees. Now, what I'm going to do that's different in the second quest than what I did in the first quest is I'm not really going to bother with all of those secrets. If you want to look where all the secrets are, you know, to find rupees, they're on a lot of overworld maps that you can find on the internet, so it's not really that difficult to find. So what I'm going to do, since the second quest is a lot more difficult, is I'm going to actually start tanking up on rupees just to get all of the items that I could possibly need and all the rupees that I could possibly need for the second quest as soon as possible. So there's going to be a little grinding and a little playing around with the money making game at first, but I'm going to edit that out and you'll see. Now the goal in this section right here, this first part, is to not only get rupees but to get bombs. And usually by the time I encounter the blue levers or blue octoroks, I'll have a good chance at getting bombs, so that's pretty good. Like right here, I got really lucky there. Also, if I haven't mentioned before, I may have mentioned in the last episode, I've already recorded Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, and I've got something really interesting lined up there in terms of the experience, but that'll be fun. I'll edit those videos and put out the commentary and whatnot eventually. Now, one of the projects for Let's Play is going to be a pretty big project as far as a very long game, so I don't know how many episodes that's going to be, but, oh well. I do want to thank everyone for subscribing. The channel's really growing, and I thank people for that, you know. Anyways, one of the new things in the second quest is that sometimes when we try to uncover a secret, they will try to pay us for the charge of destroying their little house or their cave. They're not going to fix it for you, but oh well. Anyways, what I'm going to do a lot here is just grab some money. And now that I'm at 251 rupees, I should have enough by the time I get to a certain other spot to, well no, I already have enough money to buy a certain item, but by the time I get to the northeast part of the map, rather, I should max out at 255 rupees. Now, I'm not going to go into this shop just yet because, again, I don't want to waste rupees, and I'll come back to this area later. I also like that the heart container that was on the dock here is here in the second quest as well. The only sucky thing is that technically they don't let you get the ladder for a while, but we're going to work around that. We're going to still do some of the dungeons in an unorthodox method. Well, somewhat. I like the little static white noise that they gave for the ocean here. Well, I think it's white noise. It just sounds like muted white noise to me. Actually, ocean waves are very similar to white noise because, well, I'll explain in a moment. But here we need to get the blue ring. But anyways, white noise is pretty much all frequencies at once, you know, just randomized frequencies. And I think ocean waves are similar to that because all the water bouncing around the rocks and the sand and everything causes that same or similar sound. But that's my theory anyway. Ask an audio engineer sometime. Maybe they'll explain it better. Now right here I decided to get the key simply because it couldn't hurt to have an extra key and I was going to have plenty of money. And I figured, well, I never really showed you buying a key, so why not? Actually, it's just a little poor planning on my part. But since money, you know, the money-making game is not that difficult to get, I figured I might as well get an extra key. And ignore that bomb there. Now that we have enough money, we can get the blue candle. Sorry for saying now twice. And we can get the shield, and I don't care if this is not the most, the cheapest shield out there. But that's okay. Like I said, money's not going to be that difficult to come by, and I'm just going to pretty much tank on the money and... Now that we're back to 200 rupees or so, what I want to do is go down here, and we're not going to get that heart for a while. Sorry. Well, we can't. We don't have the ladder, so. But now that I'm down here, we do need the arrow, and I might as well get it now, instead of having to grind for it later. The second quest is much more expensive than the first quest. Let me just put it that way. If you haven't played the second quest, just... well, some dungeons you want to go into them prepared financially, if you know what I mean. Bet you thought I was going to die there, right? No, we're going to cut it close a couple times, but not that many. Now here I'm going to grind a little bit more and meet you back. Well, once I get rid of these levers anyway. I want to have at least about 200 rupees for the next few dungeons. And I at least want to have the meat, for obvious reasons. And I want to have the magic shield, that's going to really help. And I also want to have the blue candle and the arrow, obviously. Now as far as the hidden heart containers, you know, you can choose either the medicine or the heart container. Well, a lot of them we can't get just yet. And I'll explain that in due time. I will explain that in due time. Right now, we're actually going to start heading west. And, there's a good reason why. If anything, I can't really get a certain item just yet, but I can get another item. And I'll explain that. Some of this I was actually doing a little blind, because I've played this before. And then other times I was trying to plan a little ahead. But I think it'll keep it interesting. Now the funny thing is, most of the dungeons I really didn't plan the order out. I just kind of looked at a dungeon and I was like, yep, I want to do this dungeon next, or I want to do this dungeon next. I remember when I was like 10 years old and I first realized that the second quest you had to go all the way out to this section here without having the ladder, or the western side of the map without having a ladder, and it just blew my mind. I was like, but it's so difficult over here with all the Lionels and the Guineas. I call them Guineas. They're not Lamborghinis, or maybe they're, I don't know. They're not Ginas, that's for sure. Yuck, yuck, yuck. And for those of you who know the second quest, obviously, well, this just shows you that the positions for most of the dungeons are different. And I figured on the way over here, I might as well get the secret over here just to show you what's in the 6th dungeon there. Now the 6th dungeon is close by, but it's actually around here, but we can't get it just yet. I just kind of wanted to show you this. Remember this for later. It will be important. Now the reason I went over here obviously was to get the power bracelet. And at least this way I won't need the ladder as much to teleport around. But I'm low on hearts, so I might as well go up and get the fairy. Which I didn't show in the last series of videos for the first quest, but the fairy's in the same location. You know, if you need it, there's a quick fairy here with the teleporter. Or the stairs, whatever you want to call them. Secret passage, I suppose. It's not really that much of a secret. If you played this game enough, you would have figured that out, or you knew about it. But then again, I mean, that's the way it is with most of the passages in the game, isn't it? I mean, if you played it before, it's no longer a secret to everybody, right? Now we're in level 2, and if you notice there, level 2 is now at a very different position than it was in the last quest, in the first quest. And we have to face these Gibdos now with a wooden sword, which could be worse, but they give us kind of a layout to the room where we can just kind of deal with them. And if you're lucky enough, you'll get the stopwatch there. And you can just walk all over them. And I am going to stockpile on keys. I'm not going to get the map for every single dungeon. If you're curious what the map looks like, well, that's on the internet if you're curious. Most of the dungeons will spell out some sort of a letter. Well, most. I'd say, yeah, 5, because, well, you'll see some of it. You'll see some of it. I'll get to that when it becomes important. I'm going to ignore these Gibdos for now. If you're really lucky, like I was there, you can plant a bomb right in the middle of the Manji, and then, yeah, you won't have to deal with them anymore. You can one-shot them. I'm not going to worry about that key just yet. I will in a moment, though. What I need to do now, though, is I need to grab a special item from this dungeon. And that item is the whistle. The whistle is going to grant us access to extra heart containers. It's going to give us access to not extra dungeons, other dungeons. And there's going to be a lot of dig doggers around here. So we might as well get the whistle. Another thing in the second quest is that you'll notice there are like these one-way and two-way secret passages. And it's kind of a bastard move on the part of the developers because, you know, I'm not sure how you would know that. Because I'm not sure of any message in the game that indicates that these walls are there, so I think it's just kind of one of those things you would figure out from Nintendo Power or word of mouth. You know, or back then I guess you'd dial up to a BBS and maybe somebody would tell you. But, yeah. It does make the game a lot more difficult. Some of the passages are two-way and some of the passages are one-way. And I could use the blue candle against these guys because they'll just start ramming themselves into the blue candle over and over again. But the problem is that the blue candle's a single-use weapon for each screen, so to me it's just kind of a waste. I might as well just take care of the Gibdos this way. At least you don't have to deal with a whole lot of blue dark nuts just yet. With the wooden sword, of course. Now I am going to stockpile on keys, like I just said. So really the magic key is not going to be that useful as it was in the last quest, if at all, but I'm still gonna get it. Don't worry. Now it would be nice if I had the arrow here, or the bow, sorry. The bow and arrow. Well, technically I have the bow or arrow because I have the arrow, get it? A little logic here. But I don't. So I've got to, well, I don't have to, you know what I mean. So I gotta deal with these Paul's voices individually, with a wooden sword, over and over. And I wanted to stockpile that key, I might as well. Now, if you didn't buy a key, you would have 4 keys at this point, obviously, but that's alright. I'm not gonna defeat every enemy in this game, either. There's no point in that. Now I've got to deal with the bits and bots with a wooden sword here. Of course. So it's going to take a little longer than I want it to. At least get some extra keys. Now I'm up to 7 keys, so they give you a lot of keys, but they expect you to get lost and waste the keys as well. My dog says hi over here. She's gotten really stirred up. I don't know. I think it's the mailman or something. Now we have to defeat the dark nuts, but they're not blue dark nuts, so that's a plus. I know I'm almost dead here, but I'll survive. I'll survive. I was kind of wishing they would give me a fairy or a heart there, but they didn't. I don't know why I pulled out the whistle here. I guess I got confused and thought it was a dig dogger, but oh well. Now I just have to be really skilled and avoid the fireballs at all costs. I just wanted to show you, by the way, the bombs do not work. I'm not sure if I showed you this or not, since I'm doing post-commentary. Am I gonna die? No, I'm not gonna die. It's gonna be close, but I'm not gonna die. This is why it's a little challenging sometimes. And of course they give me a fairy at the last minute. Anyways, now that we got the Triforce, this is going to wrap up this episode, so thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Goodbye.